It is a jaw-dropping figure, a total of 420,000 Ghana cedis. That's how much you need to raise to contest the flag bearership race of the opposition National Democratic Congress. 20,000 cedis for the nomination form and 400,000 cedis as filing fee. At a news conference at the party's headquarters Thursday, General Secretary Johnson Nketiah justified the decision by the National Executive Committee to peg the fee that high. He said the revenue raised from the filing fee would be used to defray costs incurred during the primaries.
Please, how much is too much? Can you tell us how much is too much? Nobody knows. What are you comparing with? So far, the questioner doesn't appear to give us the comparison. But let me tell you, when we say that there are hardship, it means cost of living is high. But somebody must pay the cost of running the elections. Who is going to pay? I have not declared to be a presidential candidate. So those who have declared to be presidential candidates must pay the cost. Yes. Yes, so and if you compare these monies against the cost of organizing the activity we are talking about, you see that the party will still have to raise money to supplement whatever will be accruing from these filing fees. So I don't see how anybody can say that it is. If you want to compare us to MPP 3 years ago were charging 500,000. We were all with you here in this country. Did you complain? And 3 years on, we are charging 400. And you still say ours is too high. In fact, when we talk about social democracy, it is not equivalent to poverty. You see, many people have some wrong understanding of what social democracy is all about. Social democracy is not poverty. Social democracy means that the market must work. The productive forces in the economy must be released to achieve their potential.
But that's not all. He also noted the 400,000 cedis fee, which is non-refundable, will test the ability of the aspirants to raise funds for the 2020 campaign.
So, weigh yourself well. If you want to be the president, then you consider your options very well before you come into the contest. If you want to pretend, you bring your money, we also pretend with your money. You will not have the option of demanding any refund. So it is up to you to decide. And in any case, it will cost money to undertake a campaign, a presidential campaign. So we shouldn't create the impression that once you become a flag bearer, then the party is going to get money from somewhere to give you to do the campaign. You must have the capacity to also raise funds to support. Demonstrate your capacity to raise funds for 2020 now that you want to be a flag bearer.
Well, the Member of Parliament for the Keta constituency, Richard Kwashigan, is kicking against the 400,000 cedis filing fee. He says the figure creates the impression the party is giving the slot to the highest bidder, though he says it will not deter his preferred candidate, Joshua Labi, from contesting. He wants party executives to review the figure downwards.
It hit me like a thunderbolt when I heard it, because I didn't expect it to be that high for a social democratic political party.
You think it's too high?
Yeah, it's high. I mean, clearly, because previously it was 50,000. And then from 50,000 we are moving to 400,000. That is on the high side, you know. But that notwithstanding.
For you, what would have been an appropriate figure?
Well, even in opposition, I think that 200,000, which would have been about 400% of what existed, what was paid previously, could have been even acceptable. But 800% was, for me, something mind-boggling. That notwithstanding,
we'll get to that notwithstanding, but do you think that ends up, giving up the competition eventually to the highest bidder, over monetizing, the situation? Is that what it amounts to, you think?
Well, I mean, there may be different schools of thoughts. One school of thought may assume or conclude that it's like wanting to give it to the highest bidder. It appears in one breath as a deterrent, to prevent others from contesting or throwing in the towel.
Would that be fair, to the extent that money will become a barrier to people contesting for the presidential candidate as well?
In reality, we must not allow money to become a barrier to electing people into public office, especially when there are people with capacity and capabilities to perform that particular job. So if, for instance, somebody has a capacity and capability to perform the job better than some other person who has the money, and because he doesn't have the money, he drops out, it doesn't really bode with.
Well, Professor Ransford Jampo, a political scientist, he joins me on Skype, via Skype right now. Now, thank you very much, Professor Jampo, for making time to speak with us. I have a fair idea where you stand in all of this, because I saw your Facebook post, which indicates that you believe that the 400,000 CD filing fee is fair. But if you listen to the arguments that are coming up, as you heard the MP Kwashiga say, it seems to suggest that the party is trying to keep out those with capabilities but do not have the means to actually file.
Hello.
Yes, Professor Jampo.
Yes, I mean, if you have the capabilities, one of the means of
capabilities minus money.
You said?
Capabilities minus 400,000 CDs.
No, one of the means of judging your capabilities is your ability not to dole out monies from your own pocket, but your ability to speak to other people, to want to support your cause, to support your bid to becoming a flag bearer. Let me tell you this. Governance is also about one's ability to raise money to run a country. Over the years, our elections have thrived on popularity. And so he who is popular gets elected. And when they get elected, they eye only our consolidated fund without doing nothing or doing much to bring money from outside to complement what we raise, in our consolidated fund. And so I am of the view that every well-meaning aspirant should be capable of talking to others to want to contribute to help them to run their flag bearers race. I was in the US when Barack Obama was prosecuting his campaign to become the first Black American president, and I contributed to funding it. It was not because I was expecting that after the contribution, I was going to win contract or I was going to be part of his government. So the argument that, look, if you allow others to contribute, then the financiers will hijack the government, I think must be dealt with. That contributing to funding a campaign should not give anybody a license to be part of government or a license to win contract. But aspirants must demonstrate the skill and competence to be able to talk to others to help them succeed in their flag bearership.
Now, Professor Jampo,
so that
one of the arguments that's been made by the NDC General Secretary is that they would need monies for the presidential primaries. But I'm not sure that is that to suggest that the party does not have money to run a presidential primary and necessarily has to take these monies from the presidential aspirants?
I am not a member of the NDC. I cannot speak to what Asiedun Ketia is saying. What I'm saying is that every flag bearer worth his salt must be able to raise money to finance his own ambition. If you cannot raise money to finance your flag bearership ambition, then you cannot be a president, because it is also part of your duty as a president to also be able to raise funds for the nation. That's all I'm saying.
Professor Jampo, there are those two who argue that if it's about the ability to raise funds, then people will go run as independent candidates. But they believe that if they come in a party or come under the umbrella of a party, the party should be able to support them to get to their ambition.
Well, so the party supports you by giving you the platform. And don't forget that.
And ask you for 400,000 Cedis.
You said?
So the party gives you the platform and then ask for 400,000 Cedis before you can be on the platform.
Ask for 400,000, you should be able to raise, so that over the years you've had people who are not really serious in leading as flag bearer, parading themselves as, oh, we want to be flag bearers to lead our party. And I think leading as flag bearer and wanting to lead a country is more of a serious business that only those who are serious must be given the opportunity. Democracy is not an open sesame. It must be able to also have some restrictions that protect itself from abuse from people who are not serious. So in my view, I am not saying that people should dole out that cash from their pocket. But I'm saying if you are worth your salt, then you should be able to have the skill to speak to people and to convince them and to tell them that, look, I want you to help me to govern, and I want you to help me to be able to be the flag bearer, and if I win, I'll govern in a manner that will better the lot of all of you. I'm not asking for resources so that after the resources, I will be required to give you contract, and after the resources, I must necessarily will be required to give you appointment by government. No, contributing to funding a flag bearership race is not a license to be given a position. Should one be elected and all that? That is what has been the order of the day, and I am against that.
Yes.
But I'm saying that people should be able to speak to people so that generally, if you are convincing, if people to convince people, then they would want to donate their widow's mite to help your flag bearership bid. And like I said, it happened everywhere.
All right.
People, Barack Obama raised all the resources just to be able to prosecute his campaign. And it was not because after the people donated, they were looking for appointments or they were looking for contracts.
Well, Prof, we can't be too sure. We can't be too sure about that, because
are always convincing, and they will be able to convince all of us to be able to want to donate to help them succeed.
All right, Prof, please hold on for me. We have on the line MP for Keta, Richard Kwashigan, who speaks for or represents or has his candidate being Professor Joshua Alabi. Thank you very much, Mr. Kwashigan. Now, you've heard the arguments by Professor Ransford Jampo. He says that if you have the capability, or if you want to be flag bearer or become president, you should have the capability to mobilize the needed resources to to pay for this 400,000 CD filing fee.
Well, thank you very much. I don't think that the argument is about the ability of individuals to raise the 400,000 Ghana cedis to pay for the flag bearership contest. I think that it is about the principles of the NDC, the principles on which the NDC was founded. I do not think that Professor Jampo is of the view that we should monetize our elections. Clearly, we all know what monetization of politics is doing to this country, and then we all be talking about moving away from that. I believe strongly that clearly, if we are looking for a leader, one who is competent, one who can actually soar the chances of the NDC and also govern this country, we must be looking at the creative bent of mind of that individual, the leadership qualities of such an individual and all, but not necessarily the individual's ability as it were to raise funds. Fundraising is an art.
Okay, so he talks about the fact that Professor Jampo talks about the fact that that ability to raise funds will be crucial when you actually become president.
Of course, yes. But you see, the flag bearer does not even work in isolation. When you become flag bearer, you have people with multifaceted abilities to do various things, you know, being on your team. And the fact that Professor Joshua Alabi and the others are even moving around the country, meeting delegates at the branch level to tell you that it is money, it costs them money. Fueling your vehicle around, feeding your team, hotel bills and all, it's all money. But then, we're saying that the principle is wrong. That is what we are kicking against.
But
and we don't have to set a bad precedent for ourselves as a political party, especially a social democratic party. Mr.
Kwashiga, is Professor Joshua Alabi complaining?
Professor Joshua Alabi, I speak for him, and the position I'm articulating, obviously, rhymes with what he believes in.
I'm asking if he's complaining. I'm asking if he's complaining about the amounts being too much.
Hello?
I'm asking if he's complaining about the amounts being too much.
I'm saying that the amount in itself is mind-boggling, and this is the first time the NDC will be going to the polls for flag bearership contest, and they've been asked to pay 400,000 Ghana cedis. Considering the fact that 4 years ago it was 50,000 cedis, especially when the argument has been advanced by the General Secretary is that we need money to run the party and to organize the election. And I ask, were it to be just an individual contesting, are we going to say that, oh, aspirants to pay 400,000, that will be enough, as it were, to help eliminate the financial issues that confront our elections come January 19th?
Yeah.
I don't think that washes.
All right.
And I don't think that is within the remit of the principles enshrined in our Constitution and the philosophy that the NDC ascribes to.
All right.
And I think that necessarily we must rethink this whole thing, and we must not create a situation where monetization becomes the norm. The NDC monetization is alien to the NDC.
All right.
But then gradually it is creeping in, and then we are complaining about it. The founder of our party frowns on these things, and he has talked about it severally. I think that we should do what is right and proper, you know, maintaining the value, those things that we hold here, the values that we hold here. And I don't think that the values that we hold here, one of them is, you know, very high, financial demands from aspirants and contestants.
All right, thank you very much, Richard Kwashiga. Richard Kwashiga is MP for Keta. Now, to you, Professor Jampo, so you've heard the MP for Keta. He believes that the filing fee indeed is too much, and he talks about the fact that looking at the party, the NDC party, this is a social democratic party, and it goes against their principles.
Well, he made mention of monetization. I think he used monetization within the wrong context. Monetization in our parlance simply refers to a kind of fitting, an arrangement that sort of you give money to people just to be able to buy their votes. But this one is not about that. And talking about the principles of social democracy, I do not like the pick and choosy approach of people who espouse ideologies that they themselves are not pure and committed to. We talk about social democracy simply because they are saying people to pay money to demonstrate their capacity to raise money, simply because they are saying that they want to talk about social democracy. There's no ideological purity among the NDC adherents themselves and all that. So let's not talk about that. My point is that if you want to be a flag bearer worth your salt, you should be able to speak to people to to convince them so that they support your bid. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Because when you become a president, you would also have to go beyond the funds in our consolidated fund to attracting investors. You should be able to speak to people so that they come here to bring money to augment whatever we raise in our consolidated fund. But I'm also saying, and I'm clarifying, that we should move away from the practice where we just go and talk to people, businessmen, people who are not reputable. We just go and talk to them, and then we get their money, and then we give them some promises. And so once we become elected, then we give out contracts to them, even if they don't qualify. Once we become elected, they seek for positions in government, even if they don't qualify. My position is that as a leader goes about, as a flag bearer aspirant goes about talking to people, he must speak to people and make them clear in their mind that you are seeking to support me. And when I get elected, I will be able to govern well in a manner that creates an enabling environment for all Ghanaians to succeed.
All right.
So you are not supporting me for me to make you a candidate for ministerial
or give you
appointment,
contracts.
or you're not supporting me for me to give you contracts and all that. That shouldn't be the case.
All right.
And so that deals with some of the fears that others have raised. Every flag bearer worth his salt must have the capacity to raise funds,
all right,
finance his own ambition.
Thank you very much, Professor Ransford Jampo, political scientist, for your insights. You're watching JoyNews Prime.